Hi, everybody. My name is Heather Armhold, and welcome to Curtain Call with WAG. Today's episode is called Ask a Director. Today, I am here with Mike Woods. He is primarily a director of straight plays, and we want to talk a little bit about him, about his directing with WAG, a little bit about his directing style, and most importantly, what the heck do directors look for at an audition? So, hi, Mike. How are you today?
I'm great. How you doing?
I am awesome. How are you doing through quarantine? So this is kind of new, right? We're doing theater virtually, right?
It's hard. It's hard. Oh,
That's okay. All right, we're back.
I'm still here. It's hard. Yeah, I've been actually acting right now in a play, and we're doing virtual rehearsing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're doing a lot of table work.
Nice.
No blocking yet.
Nobody has any kind of excuse for not delving super deep into their character right now, right?
There you go.
You guys so
much. That's probably a good idea.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your directing background and about the shows that you directed for Wyndham Actors Guild.
Well, let's see. For Wyndham, well, I go back. I've been directing about 10, 12 years. Community theater going back to 2005. So actually, about 15 years. I started with the National Theater Guild. Directed several times for them, and I've directed for Wyndham, I think, twice. Taming of the Shrew a couple years ago, and then this last Christmas, Christmas Carol, the radio play.
Awesome. I'm going to pause you for 1 second. So everybody, he just said Taming of the Shrew. Taming of the Shrew, Wyndham Actors Guild has on YouTube right now. So you can go see the work that this guy directed. It is on our YouTube channel. You can find it on the link from this Facebook page. So thanks for the little commercial there. Back to you. So the last one you directed was Radio Christmas Carol. Tell us a little bit about your process for that show.
Well, it was interesting because I hadn't planned to direct it ahead of time. It was almost you guys put a call out, and you needed a director to come in, and I applied, and I literally read the play at work and came and interviewed.
Right. Well, you must have nailed the interview because they selected you out of all of the group to direct the show. So I was fortunate to be on the audition board with you, so I know a little bit about what you look for, but let's tell all of the actors, actresses, and everybody who might even want to audition for a play who never has, what do you, as a director, look for?
Well, directability. You make to make make suggestions and see if and if I can throw something at an actor and have them take their acting choices and 180-degree turn a different direction. And I like to see if they can listen to it, and it may not be what I use for the play, but it might just see if they can think quickly and react and and see just see how creative they are. Their practice improv skills.
Okay, so one of the things that you like to do when you are watching people read is you might have them read it and then, for example, read it again, but give a little bit of direction and see if they can do things differently, or if they take your direction. Is that kind of what I'm hearing you say? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I like to see. Sometimes you can see an actor just giving direction simply, like, once you do a little more angry, and then they give the exact same read they gave before, it's like, wow, that's kind of like makes me a little nervous. But if I say, hey, why don't you be a little angry, and then go and kick a chair, and I love seeing actors take chances in auditions, and I like to see people have fun during auditions. It should be like not going to the dentist. It should be exciting. No offense to dentists out there. It should be fun. Auditions. I started getting a lot better parts as an actor when I went to auditions just to have fun and play, and just I loved when actors play during auditions and just kind of have fun with other actors and give to other actors and immerse themselves in the scene with their scene partner.
I agree with you. So one of the things that I heard you say that I think is a really great tip is you love to see actors take a risk or take a chance. I know that when I am on an audition board or when I am directing or even as an actor going to an audition, I think one of the most important things is about making a choice. And it might not be the right choice and it might not even be the one the director is looking for, but I think that as a director, you can tell who has ability by the choices they make, even if it's not what you had in mind. Would you agree?
Yes, and go to the extreme on everything, because as a director, much rather pull somebody back during a rehearsal process and then rather than push them to give me more. Yeah, I love to see them like take it as far as they can, and without like invading personal space or you know, but just respectfully with other actors. But
right. So you want to see them kind of go up to the line, but without crossing the line.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Great. So some of the questions that were asked when they said ask a director, these are the questions that they wanted to know. Do you prefer, when you are auditioning folks, do you prefer them to come in with a prepared monologue, or do you prefer to see people do readings from the script, or do you prefer to see completely cold readings from the script?
I love cold readings because it gives people a chance. But my favorite auditions are cold readings. And just watching people play, like I just talked about. I'm not a big monologue person unless it's a show driven by monologues,
like a Shakespeare or something like that.
Right, or even like when I directed Cat on a Tin Roof. Only one character had a lot of monologues, and that was Big Daddy. So I wanted anybody auditioning for Big Daddy to come in with a monologue. But anybody auditioning for the characters who, if you're auditioning for Brick in Cat on a Tin Roof, you don't really need to come in, and prepare a monologue, because it's very subtle, reactive acting. So it would be a waste of time. And I hate wasting anybody's time, especially mine, but especially actors.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you. So can you talk a little bit about your process? Like, how do you direct? So once you've got this show cast, you're looking for dynamic actors who maybe aren't your exact vision for the role, but you want somebody who's directable, who's entertaining and dynamic. So you've got your cast. So how do you direct? What's your process? What does that look like?
Well, first I always like to have them read, I know it's like sometimes table reads, that sounds cool, awesome, whatever. I mean, it just sounds pretentious sometimes. But I like to at least like have it, before we put it on its feet, talk about the characters, because some shows like Hamlet would require a lot of table reading. But like when we did Christmas Carol, I mean, I don't really need to spend an hour, 2 or 3 rehearsals with Scrooge trying to figure out the character, because it's very much in the script and as you see. Whereas maybe doing Taming of the Shrew or something, I would have to like spend more time with the characters and try to get to the meat of the characters. So it's just it really depends on the show, depends on the characters. I love putting it on their feet sooner rather than later. There are a lot of directors who will spend a lot of time just sitting down reading and discussing, and it really depends on the part and the character.
Right.
The show.
I know that personally as an actor and also when I direct, I like to do the blocking as I build my character, because I find the way that my character moves really helps me a lot with who the character is and what my intentions are for the scene. And do I hold myself very, very tall, and that helps me be a more elegant person, or your body language is so important, and I think that you're really hitting on that as a director. So I love that.
And also it helps. I think it also helps with learning the lines, and I'm over here for this part. I'm over there for that part. I'm supposed to cross. Why do I cross? And it helps with motivation. Like why do I go out the door? Oh, that's why I go out the door, because it ties into this line, and that's why I'm leaving, because I want to get away from Jake and get out the door, and you know.
Poor Jake. What did Jake do?
I was thinking Jake's one of the short.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
So it all depends, like, now, of course, Christmas Carol was a very different type of project because it was a radio play, and we had to kind of create movement where maybe there wouldn't have been movement otherwise, because no one wanted to go see a play where you had three people standing on a microphone. So it's like, okay, how do I get these actors moving around? And so it was that was a unique project, because we kind of had create our reality. We're doing a radio play. Well, let's have it with a studio audience. That way, we're not just talking to a microphone. And, so a lot of the stuff we did was like interactive, talking, relating to the audience. We did a lot of stuff that wasn't in the script just to get, to enrich the characters, and it was actually a lot of fun. A lot of they spent a lot of time trying to figure out how are we going to react to him talking while we're over here and the audience can watch us. There were 19 actors on stage, and there's a lot of downtime.
Right. So you had not only the challenge of having actors playing characters, but you had those characters playing characters in the show. So everyone had not only one, but most had 2, 3, 4 parts. So how did you, as a director, help the actors differentiate from your actual character and your in the play or the radio play character? How did you help them do that?
Well, we talked a lot about relationship buildings, like Beth's character. How does she relate to Irene's character? And we kind of determined that, Beth's character really looks up to Irene's character, but Irene was kind of like standoffish and snobby, and you had another character that was that Beth couldn't stand, and so like a lot of the, even though, and then he was playing her husband.
Dun, dun, dun.
All the verbal they were giving out over the microphone was lovey-dovey, but she was like shooting him dirty looks and rolling her eyes, and it was just trying to build this internalized world that so you're getting something and then seeing something else, and it was just a lot of fun to play with.
So it sounds like you guys really focused a lot on the nonverbal communication, which is great, because a radio show is all about the sounds, and it's all about the voices and the sound effects, but you had a live audience there, so the nonverbal communication is really awesome. Another one of the questions that our viewers wanted to ask is, when a show that you've directed is going up, where do you sit? Do you sit in the audience and watch the show? Are you backstage? Do you not watch the show? What do you do?
Historically, what I do is I sit in a different place in the audience throughout the run. I'll sit in a different angle, usually so I can like kick myself and because I'm my own worst critic. I'm like, oh, I should have done that differently, and why'd I do that? And I just. But often, other times, I'm actually called into a service to like run lights or run sound, different shows.
Nice.
Given my preference, I would prefer to just sit in a different place and and kind of just see and see if like anything I need to fix. Even like for Christmas Carol, there were a couple of sound things that I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I talked to the sound guy. Hey, this is happening, and I'm like, there was I was sitting audience way left for Christmas Carol, and the sound guy Keith Strang, who did a great job, was sitting stage left, so opposite. And some of the sound effects sounded like they were because he did it over the speakers, sounded like they were coming from stage right. So like audience members were like, "What's that?" And I kept like,
Right.
and so I talked to him like, "Hey, can we bring down the sound a little bit on stage right?" I knew what he was doing, and because it had to be loud enough for the audience to hear it. Because if you can't hear us, so what's the point? But
Right.
but it was
Right.
so it was just like, can we adjust the sound levels? And and the trick with talking to tech people is be respectful, but and ask what you want, and but not you always want to be respectful of your support team, because
So
as a director, you
that
don't want to alienate your light people or your set or your sound people or your stage managers, because you are literally, when the show opens up, you're literally handing it over to them and saying, "Please be nice to my show. It's out of my
right.
hands." That's the hardest
I
part of
mean,
being a director, is the fact that come opening night, you're done. I mean, you just like you hand it off, and
it's
unless you're doing like
you've raised your baby, and now you've got to push your baby out into the world. I get it. I totally get it. So
no, it came into the show. I had to pick up a part right before Tech Week, because the actor had to drop out. So I ended up actually playing a role in the play, which is kind of weird.
it would not be the first time that that's happened to me as well, while directing. It can be really tough to be in the show that you're also directing so hard.
You know, they say about a lawyer who represents himself as a fool for a client.
Exactly. I mean, it's community theater, and you know what? Sometimes as a director, you have to step in. Sometimes you have to run the lights. Sometimes you got to push the sound button. That's just what happens, right?
We're all part of a team.
Absolutely. Go team. All right, so Wyndham Actors Guild is a traveling theater group. So Radio Christmas Carol was at Searles Chapel and Banquet Hall, right? So
Yes.
what kind of unique challenges does working in that kind of space bring as a director?
Well, I love working in a space that isn't a theater, and like turning that space into a theater. Like people who I just saw a play in version of Romeo and Juliet, and it was at a church, and they had to like turn the whole church into a play, and I love when people like look at a non-traditional venue and say, "Hey, I can put on a play here."
Yeah, why not?
And I like what they've done at Searles over the years. They've played with where the stage is. It used to be an elevated stage. When I acted in Odd Couple, it was in the stage was where the sound and light booth was for Christmas Carol, and now and eventually we moved it to the actors being on the floor and the audience being elevated, and it was it's just a unique perspective, and it's really a fun way to watch a show, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's super exciting, especially if you've been to that venue before and now you're going and seeing it, and it's a whole new world, right? It's part of the magic of theater. I'm gonna take a quick look and make sure I did not miss any questions, which I'm sure I did. Let's see. Perfect edition. Style is your style to accept suggestions from actors. Where do you like to watch them? Okay. Very cool. So am I back? Okay, cool, I'm back. Okay, so I'm gonna leave us with maybe one final sort of open-ended thought. What would be your biggest advice for actors, not only going and preparing for an audition, but in also interacting with their director during the process? What would be your biggest pieces of advice that you could give? And we're talking specifically about straight plays, not a musical, if that changes your mind at
all. I think don't be afraid to ask questions, and if you don't understand what I'm asking for as a director, say you don't understand, and it's like, what do you mean? I don't get it. I've done that as an actor. It's like, I don't know what you're asking for. I'm sorry. Can you tell me what you're asking for? So I don't. And be respectful, but just it helps so much to get onto the same page. And any director worth his salt is going to be like responsive and answer questions. And be respectful of you or the actors, and because we all have the same goal.
Absolutely. Back to the kind of whole teamwork thing. I love it. So any final thoughts from you? Anything that you'd like to say about Wyndham Actors Guild or about your show last fall, winter, Radio Christmas Carol? Any final thoughts from you about directing? Anything you'd like?
Well, I love WAG. I think WAG has a unique place in the Southern New Hampshire theater scene, because it's very much most family-friendly theater company that. And I don't mean like they don't only do G-rated shows or anything. They don't. They do. Right. But it's like they pick shows that bring it. They can incorporate the whole family and bring in the family, and it's kid-friendly, family-friendly, and it's just fun because it's a always expanding group that is always getting. I don't want to say getting better, but just expanding its horizons, getting just.
We're definitely getting better. Come on. Yeah.
But I don't want to but that's kind of implies that there was a time when it kind of. I don't want to sound like I'm putting down what was done before.
Oh, no, I understand what you're saying, but I think in this new world, everything's got to adapt. Right now, we got to do some virtual theater, you know what I mean? Next year, maybe we're not going to have to do virtual theater. Maybe we're going to be doing live theater again, and you know what? That's going to be awesome, and our goal is to always put on quality and inclusive theater and to keep raising the bar and making things even more awesome than they are now. So I want to
put up Urinetown. I want to see Urinetown.
I know. I can't wait. I was in rehearsals for it and it sounded so good. So I cannot wait for when we can finally put that show on. It's going to be amazing. And it's kind of ironic that it takes place 20 years after kind of the apocalypse, right?
Privilege to be.
It is. It's a privilege to be. So everybody, I want to thank you so much for being friends of Wyndham Actors Guild, also known as WAG. My name is Heather Armhold. This is Curtain Call with WAG. I want to thank Mike Wood so much for coming out, interviewing with me today. I really, truly appreciate it, Mike, and I hope that we can work together again soon. We've been in a couple shows together, but neither of us has gotten to direct the other yet. So that's going to be a fun, unique experience when you get to direct a director, right?
There you go.
That's always a lot of fun. All right, so friends, please, before you close this video, please make sure that you are a fan of Wyndham Actors Guild, the Facebook page. Go ahead and give it a like or a follow. Make sure you're in the Wyndham Actors Guild Facebook group. That way you can get all the information, be updated on everything we're doing. Curtain Call with WAG will be back on Friday at 7 with an amazing original video by our own Ryan Kaplan. I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we hope that you are staying safe. And if you have any questions to ask your director, go ahead and type them in, and I will make sure I get the answer from this guy. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.